billions of dollars.
More than 7 million people, that's how many foreigners have entered this country without permission or documentation since Joe Biden took office. And our good friend Bob Price is likely to contend the actual number is substantially higher. In a bid to meaningfully bolster border security, Senate Republicans have currently leveraged their collective votes on the massive military aid package for Ukraine and Israel, with the stated intention of securing policy changes and adequate interdiction from Brownsville to Tijuana and every mile in between. Panel with Mayor Eric Adams very publicly declaring illegal immigration is, quote, destroying New York City. Could this be the year America re-secures its border? I'll get that out, re-secures. Tony, what's your take on this?
Well, first of all, the metaphor of an open border is right-wing rhetoric. So there's just simply not an open border. We could say there's an open gun store in Texas, but really what it comes down to is nothing's going to happen. Because here's what happens. I know Texas legislators want to ban history books, so people may not have read the book The Injustice Never Ends by Dr. Monica Munoz Martinez, but she basically documents that the villainizing of Mexicans and Mexican Americans and the border increases or decreases based on the need for workers and consumers. So let's get a few things straight. You're going to hear more salacious headlines like, I'm going to build a wall. I believe one president promised not only a wall, but that Mexico would build it. I don't believe Mexico spent 1 centavo on the wall. So we're going to hear something like that again. But at the end of the day, as long as Texas Republicans get all the undocumented labor they want, and all the undocumented customers they want to sell them their trucks, their washing machines, and their products, it will all stay as the status quo. So strap in your belts, get ready to analyze, but it's going to be the same old, folks.
Charles Adams.
Yes, sir. I think Tony actually has some very valid points, but he is, like most people, telling a half-truth, right? Yes, if you'll see, the globalists want to have open borders to allow people to come be market participants and serve as near slave labor when they're unlawfully entered. We need a controlled border. The Democrats have abandoned control in an effort to have permanent control, right? And they also want to appease the globalists and corporatism. What we need is a secure but fluid border. I do think our neighbors in Central America and South America are more law-abiding, and they are wonderful, right? But what we don't need is to let the criminal element in, and which is Venezuela is doing, what a number of, you know, if you go to Guatemala and you try to walk from Guatemala to Mexico, you're going to find a wall with a bunch of men with guns, and that exists, right? Obama did build walls. He built a wall in El Paso, he built a wall in San Diego, and they were both very, very effective. Juarez is, for years, one of the most violent cities in the world, and El Paso, for years, was the safest city in America until we had open borders.
Interesting half-lives. I like your half-lives.
Don't lie.
You lie. No, you said I was half-life.
Probably because you can't do better.
So yours are half-life.
And I'm not going to run people because I'm not a little child. Well, you are a liar.
Okay. Marcus Davis, you're a businessman,
yes.
and in most cases, I think a pragmatist, and you've spoken out on the border and the need to secure it.
Oh, without a doubt. And, you know, while I love my buddy Tony, I disagree with him on this idea of go ask the people who live in Eagle Pass, Texas, whether the border is open when they look out of their window and they see tens or hundreds of people just running across their front yard. It is in fact open. And Charles had a great point. Yeah, a lot of these people are running for their lives. They're running from the drug cartels. They're running from the criminal element that exists in South America that America tends to just completely ignore. We're so busy wanting to fight over in other countries, but not, you know, do something about the corruption that's just south of us. But they're running from that, right? And we're running from handling that problem and fixing it. And as a result, we've got people who, what was it, a month ago or two, they found 8-10 people from China that were crossing over at the southern border. This is a real issue. This is a serious issue. And to your question, it won't be dealt with. Why? Because Democrats find it sexy, because Republicans find it sexy, and they both know that they can appeal to their base and they can get a vote out of it, and there goes the downward spiral that America is in.
I would say the border needs to be controlled, but I'd say Canada's an open border. So the metaphor is an open border is a false.
Okay, 20 seconds, 20 seconds.
You mentioned a number more than 7 million. I think the most recent number I saw was 8 million people have come across the border, either detected or apprehended, but that doesn't include include perhaps all of the gotaways. So we really don't know how many people have come across the border, but it's probably more than 8 million. Also, there have been days this past month where 12,000 people came across the border in one day. You know, that is just unsustainable. It's not good for anyone.